I'm actually sharing with you right now a presentation that Jim and I, or Dr. Conrad and I gave here on campus just last April. It part because it is delivered via Prezi, Prezi.com, which is a free presentation tool that I really think that you'll like. It's fun to design things on, and it looks neat when you do it. So I'm sharing that with you, and also because it represents a lot of the research that has been occupying my time in the last year or so, and it so kind of know where I'm coming from on that front, but it also helps us see a little bit of useful, some of the incredible usefulness of the archives and the archival materials that are available in the digital collections and elsewhere, but also the sort of cyclical kind of way that archives, at least local archives, can be driven by research. So a lot of the materials that end up in the digital collections, or some of the materials that end up in the digital collections, show up there because of the generosity of the research participants with whom I've been working, and that Dr. Conrad and I have been working with in some cases as well. And and so I want to talk a little bit about that. If we have kind of in our minds uh, uh, a bit of give back, then we are able to establish a trail for future researchers in ways that really we don't often do. When we get to a little later in the term, when we talk about institutional research and the complexities of human subjects and research methods, and sort of the blending between archival work and the work that librarians do, and the work that oral historians do in capturing the past, and then some of the difficulties and complexities and interesting points about working with human subjects when we're talking about the ethical treatment of human subjects. Then we're in a little fascinating gray area. Um, Basically, in short, it's very, very common for researchers uh, to design their projects in ways that protect their participants' privacy. So, to such an extent that it's very common boilerplate in our in 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 trying to get permission to do the research that involves human subjects, which we do need to do, to say that we will keep all of the recordings and notes collected in a locked file cabinet, and that the materials collected for the research will then be destroyed within 3 years, within 5 years, within 10 years at the conclusion of the research project. And so so this is very common to protect the researchers, the participants' privacy. We work from this front. But another interesting point, though, is that in a lot of cases, the interviewees do want their stories preserved and out there. For example, I met with a woman from the Midwest who's been collecting the oral histories of gay and lesbian steelworkers, tied to a research project that she's doing on the impact of carcinogens on daily lives. And so these women are many of them are dying, and they do want their stories out there. But she wrote her institutional research protocol in ways that required, which is very common, that will require her to keep those stories in a locked file cabinet and not make them accessible to any other researchers. So anyway, we're in a little gray area space, but we're going to press through, I think, in some really interesting ways. And so through all that, let me share with you a little bit about the Norris community.